Go Blue, everybody. Alex Orji is QB1. So what now? It's all coming up next on Michigan Wolverines Live.
You guys should check out the Michigan Wolverine Live. They're out here doing great things, doing great podcasts, great live shows. They're really just doing their thing, help them blow up.
And thanks for joining us for another episode of Michigan Wolverines Live. It's the USC preview week here at Michigan Football, Voice of College Football. Today is Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. My name is John Diadamo. You can find me on Twix at John Diadamo, and I'm going to be taking you through the next hour and a half or so. It is the 166th episode. We're getting up there. And we do want to remind everybody that we are simulcasting today on not just the Michigan channel, not just the Michigan Twitch account, but we're also simulcasting on the USC channel today. We're also on the Voice of College Football Twix account, and we're on my Twix account. We're simulcasting 5 different places, and then you can catch the show on everywhere that you get your podcasts. So it's very exciting. We're blowing this thing up. And it's because of all of you. Go ahead and hit that like button as you join in and invite at least 5 friends each. If everybody invites 5 friends, then we're going to really raise the roof on this thing. And of course, if you have a comment or question and you don't want to wait, you don't want to, because we may or may not get to comments. We'll see. There's a lot to cover tonight. Big news, obviously. So if you do have a comment or question for TJ and me, or when the USC guys get here, as we will be having them later in the broadcast, just go ahead and send a super chat, because that guarantees you that we will read your comment, we will answer your question. So in order to bring in the Kenneth Grant tracker, we of course want to bring on TJ, or co-host and the host of the call-in show on Thursdays. Go Blue, TJ. Always good to have you. What a week and big news. It seems like the coaches are finally maybe figuring some shit out.
Hey, we are back, baby. It is Orji season, as we predicted, all summer long, as it should be. Looking forward to seeing what the coaching staff does with them. Hopefully they utilize them. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. Obviously we'll get into it. We'll get into what it means, what the potential is for Michigan. Also, I kind of want to touch on, the timing of the announcement, because I'm sure some of our viewers have seen that we knew before the players knew, which is pretty interesting. That is how that went down. But regardless, yeah, so exciting. We will see what the boys can do. Big matchup this week. Hell of a show, John. We got Tim and Matt coming in. Yeah, can't wait, man.
Absolutely. And some of our YouTube members here commenting, the Bull, let's go. GT in the house, Orji, the next Michael Vick or Joe Milton or somewhere in between. That's a big ass range, my friend. So we will see how that goes and where in between those are. And then of course, Detective Loki has just joined for the 2nd month. So he is a 2-month member, and of course saying Orji for Heisman, starting that campaign. So it's because of people like Loki and everybody else that we are now 380 subscribers away from beating Ohio State's channel at the Voice of College Football, TJ.
Absolutely. 380, man. We have eclipsed the 400 mark. Yeah, we're almost there, boys. So anyone who is unsubscribed, please subscribe to the channel. We greatly appreciate it. We are so close to tackling Ryan Day's ass to the ground. We've come a long way, John. I mean, we have come a long way. It is thanks to the community. It's, it means a lot to us, everyone who has joined, and we are not done yet. So we have more work to do. We are still climbing the mountain, but we are on our way.
So I'm going to give a disclaimer before reading the super chat. If anybody has any triggers, you may want to look away for this one. So we've got the $1.99. This team, it seems like he's having some trouble with the team. But today I know we had a big dose of constructive criticism Saturday. But we are going to bring a little bit of a ray of hope for you, Nick, and some others. I think you'll enjoy the show.
our boy GT in the chat right now going, don't do it, Nick. It's just, just take a breath, Nick, a little meditation, maybe a little tea, a little relaxation, a little chamomile tea. Just chill, my friend. We got another week of football. It's orgy time. We'll see what the boys can do with it, man.
There it is. And thank you, Tom. Before we get to our first, of course, big news story, Tom has just gifted a Voice of College Football membership to our boy Darbo. Darbo's got a free month of Those Who Stay Will Be Champions membership. Well-deserved. Darbo, it goes hard in the paint, has been very supportive on social media as we've been promoting our stuff everywhere. So I'm glad Darbo got it. So thanks, Tom, for gifting that for us. Okay. So obviously, we were calling for this. We had said, hey, Davis Warren had 3 picks. Could Alex Orji be the answer? Well, Sharon Moore yesterday has officially named Alex Orji in the end zone QB1, as Michigan Wolverines Live said should happen weeks and weeks ago. Now it sounds like they've seen the light, and Alex Orji has been named QB1 against USC. And if you look at some of the numbers, obviously, Orji hasn't had a lot of pass opportunities, but he did get 2 passing touchdowns through the air. So he can indeed, pass the ball. He also does have 58 rush yards. Guess what? Warren has the same amount of touchdowns, but accompanying those 2 touchdowns is a whopping 6 interceptions. So it was time. TJ, your initial thoughts on when you heard the news, and I guess my thought, and I talked to Maze Madman about this, my thought immediately started going to, okay, how does the team, I know it's a week, but how can the team throw in some wrinkles on the offense that they have, right? Mostly out of the shotgun, Kirk Campbell offense, but kind of with Sharon Moore's influence. I mean, your thoughts on just what some of the things are that they could call that are already kind of in their wheelhouse that aren't going to be a huge deviation, that could help Alex Orji be successful in this game.
Yeah, the key has to be schematically building the playbook around Orji's strengths. They cannot run the same playbook as Davis Warren. So I'm looking for some RPOs. I'm looking for some play action. I'm looking for rollouts probably to the right. I haven't seen Alex Orji go to the left yet, so we got to see there. But that, and then, keeping defenses honest with the occasional deep shot, right? I need at least a diversion. I need at least a Samaj Morgan running a go route, just to keep a defense honest here and there. And then the occasional shot down the field. I don't think we need to go too far from, Orji's strengths here. I think if we can stay consistent with short to intermediate passes, that'll be enough. I mean, our running game should offer enough protection of Orji to make defenses bite on play action to where he should be able to get the lanes he needs to complete passes. And we have seen Orji complete short to intermediate passes. This is not something he's incapable of doing. He's very capable of doing. It just comes down to consistency and confidence. And I believe over time, he can develop consistency and confidence. And I think we saw in the spring game against our defense, he had consistency. Right. So just a little bit more time on task. I'm excited to see it. I'm just hoping they not only utilize Orji's strengths here, I'm hoping they put the players in the right position to succeed. Where do they put Donovan Edwards? Who's starting at center, which we're going to get into later in the show. Right tackle, which we're going to get into later in the show. How are they going to utilize Colson Loveland if he's able to play? Right. So we know they want to, I think we're going to touch on this in a little bit, is Hogan Hanson's going to get a little more involved. So things like that, John, they just need to utilize our playmakers and find mismatches and then put Orji in the best position to succeed by calling plays to his strengths, and do not stick to, and I don't think they will, but do not stick to the same playbook you had for Davis Warren, because it is obviously not, they're not the same player. They have completely different characteristics and skill sets. So we'll see what they do. I'm excited to find out. This is going to be a great opportunity for us as a fan base to watch what this coaching staff does with Alex Orji at quarterback.
Absolutely. And in addition to super chats, the other thing we will try to highlight is YouTube member comments of people who are part of our YouTube membership, which starts at just $2.99. You see all these names down here. They're all members. So check that out. Tim is one of our members, Tim Leineke, and not to be confused with Tim Prangley, who's coming on later. This is a good question before we dive into some of the deep specifics, but was it a mistake naming Orji QB this early in the week and tipping your hand?
Yeah, it's interesting that they did this because Sharon Moore announced this to the media before the players knew. The players found out by being asked questions about it. They were not even aware that this was publicly announced. So it is interesting that they decided not to wait until game day to make the announcement. I kind of feel like me personally, I would have waited till Saturday and just tell your team behind closed doors, right? That's how I would have handled it. But I think it's Sharon Moore's way of saying he's showing faith in Alex Orji. Let's go. Let's put the helmet on. Let's get on the field and show these dudes the deal. So like I think we can look at it as a sign of confidence from Sharon Moore. Now we'll see if it pays off though. Right. So that's where we are with it. But like, personally though, I would have waited. I don't see the value in publicly. I mean, outside of showing trust and faith in your quarterback, which I think might be the play here. It might be Sharon's way. It might be Sharon's way of telling Alex Orji inadvertently that you're our guy and let's go. Like this week of practice, let's crush it. Let's go. It's our time now. So
yeah, and a couple kind of like layerings of how to help Alex Orji be successful. One key question is on Colston Loveland, who is in my opinion, the obvious passing opportunity for Orji if he's available because of his ability to you have a little crosser, you have a little, out route, little like just route to the corner with Loveland. And that's, that can help get an offense going, even though it's not going to be a huge flashy play. Sharon Moore on Colston Loveland, he did indicate the injury that Colston had suffered. It apparently didn't seem as severe as they originally thought. So he basically said, we'll see. And that there's speculation that Hogan Hansen, who caught one of Alex Orji's passing touchdowns, may actually get an expanded role. I mean, so what would you say to that? Because it seems like they already have a bit of a package with Hogan Hansen. At least you've seen it, right, already. I don't know if you've heard anything, but just like what are kind of your thoughts on bringing that other tight end into the mix when you have Bredesen blocking, then you have Hogan Hansen being introduced?
Yeah, I mean, he fills more of that inline tight end role where he would handle it would allow Marlon Klein to be split out wide. So by bringing, so he would be the natural fill in to Colston Loveland if Colston Loveland were to miss time, because he plays that F type tight end where he would be more inline. So, I mean, that I guess, but we saw with, on the touchdown reception, John, where they have him do a slow release and then get into the gap there, and then he was able to score, right? So, yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see how they utilize Hogan Hansen, but I mean, I'm hoping that it's not because Colston Loveland's not able to play. I'm hoping it's because they want to maybe cause some confusion on USC's defense, maybe have a couple tricks up their sleeves with Hogan Hansen, maybe that USC might not be prepared for. We'll see. But hopefully Colston Loveland's good to go because we're going to need him against USC.
Absolutely. I am asking the community right now via the poll, do you think it was a mistake to announce or not? So we'll see, because there's some good debate question going on there. So we'll see what the community has to say. But the other thing in terms of setting Alex Orji up for success is O-line play, and to be able to have that separation in the gaps needed to have the running ability of whoever they have under center. Although obviously we kind of all know who we want. Mullings in that backfield role as the between the tackles guy. But, like I did see a little bit of A-gap, like more A-gap separation in the Arkansas State game. But I also have to factor in it was Arkansas State, and the talent is not going to be the level of USC. So with that said, we have this center battle. which is kind of a big part of creating the separation needed to create the runs. And so Crippen, who we all thought was going to start until the last minute, on all of our predictions until the very end, we said Crippen was going to start. That's what it seemed like. And then Giudice kind of came in there and competed. And Sharon Moore actually, even though the eye test kind of said one thing, Sharon Moore said, well, Giudice actually got graded higher in the Arkansas State game than Crippen. And TJ, I know you had some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, look, I know these are the coaches. They know more than I do. I know, I understand. They probably do. But the eye test is telling me, hell no, bro. Because we all watched that game. Many of us watched that game. And in my opinion, when Crippen was out there, the offensive line played better as a unit. There was far more push. There was better gaps. Crippen, in my opinion, looked like the superior player over Giudice. So I don't know what the coaches are necessarily seeing there. I don't know what their grading scale is showing. But to me, someone who's watched the game twice, when I've specifically focused on the center position, I see a better player in Crippen. I see a player who's more ready to take that role. Not that Giudice can't eventually be that guy, but we all know, look, Giudice just made this transition this year, right? He's a former defensive lineman. He just made the transition to offensive line. In my opinion, Crippen should be your starting center. So I don't know. This is another one of those situations where I think we look at it as this isn't that difficult of a decision, just like Khalil Moen should be RB1, but the coaching staff appears to look at it differently. And this is where I lose a bit of, I start to question. I'll just say that. I start to question their decision-making because I don't quite get it. It doesn't, because it's not translating to the field. It's one thing if they're making these statements and we're seeing the results translate to the field, but we're not. So like, I'm just like, all right, what are we looking at here? Like, what is this? Like, what are you seeing? Like, I mean, I know you're seeing more. You know far more about offensive line play than I do, Sharon. But like, the player looks better. The production looks better when Crippen's on the field. We saw this. Like, we saw this. The team played better with Crippen. Like, I don't get
There's
it.
just more of a push, and there is something about like grading system versus eye test. And it's hard because this is the one area that I trust Sharon more than I do any other area, right? So it's kind of like you got to kind of, we'll see what happens. But I think a lot of us are hoping Crippen gets at least the majority of or all of the starting reps. So
yeah, because when I watch Giudice play, I see an offensive line that doesn't get the same push. I see lanes not getting created. I also see sometimes Giudice get pushed back a little bit. Like, I don't get it. Crippen, when I watch Crippen, I see him get pushed almost all the time. So it's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe Giudice is better at identifying the defense and making reads and calls. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's got to be more to it than we're seeing.
Absolutely. Well, let's see. I mean, I think a lot of our hopes were answered by Sharon Moore by putting Alex Orji as the starting quarterback. There was some question about Jack Tuttle, but apparently he is still working through something. He is still not fully there yet, and so this was kind of it because they're not playing Jaden Davis, so it's kind of. It either we're going to go back to Davis Warren again, which we saw the results of that, and maybe lose the locker room if they did that, or they go with Alex Orji, who has at least not turned the ball over 6 times and has a running threat.
Yeah, but please slide. I need him to slide a little bit. Don't just go shoulder first into these defenders. Come on, bro. Like, we need you to last the whole year if this is going to be our QB1,
Absolutely. Quick reminders, everybody. Please consider joining the Voice of College Football Michigan YouTube membership, starting at just $2.99. Everybody who is below here, and pretty much every comment we're highlighting is a YouTube member comment. We have monthly get-togethers. We just had a special stream last Wednesday that we did like almost 2 hours. It was a great time. We were just shooting the shit. We were talking ball. It was awesome. We had Bull on, we had Keith on. It was a good time. And so we do stuff like that, and we're going to keep doing stuff like that for our members. So it starts at just $2.99, or a generous soul can gift memberships, as already happened today. and help people get some memberships. So any of that's possible, and we do appreciate all of you who have joined at the various 3 tiers that you see below. Leaders and best, those who stay will be champions, and of course, the famous Connor Stallions espionage team. And let's help Mark Rogers Voice of College Football out, and let's click that Amazon link. It's on every YouTube video that's in our entire network. If you're already going on Amazon and you're doing stuff, and trust me, TJ, I was going on Amazon a lot because I had to move, and Amazon's really handy. Instead of me having to go around all these freaking places and pick stuff up, just use Mark Rogers Amazon link and go get some stuff. So so go ahead and do that. If you're already going to be using it, you might as well. And that helps Voice of College Football Network out. So definitely consider doing that. And we're going to kind of give our opening statement here, and then we're going to bring on the USC guys and Tim and Matt from Trojans Wire, and obviously Trojan Conquest Live, Conquest Collins Show, and they're going to be giving their counter argument on why USC is gonna win the game. But we're gonna start by laying out the 5 reasons why we think Michigan will beat USC, and it's got to start, of course, with the decision that happened yesterday. Alex Orji, QB1. It just get that running threat. We saw it with JJ and with Alex Orji last year. When a running quarterback's in the game, it forces the defenses, as good as they might be, and USC's defense is now like decent. It's like top 40. It's not like top 100 anymore. It's like it's solid. They know how to tackle now, right?
Yeah,
they didn't before.
It's a respectable defense for sure.
It's respectable defense. So now they're having to put a spy on Alex Orji pretty much at all times. It gives the defense something extra you have to look at. And we have actually seen that running quarterbacks have at least had some success. We saw it a little bit with Milroe. We saw it a little bit with I don't know if I would call Max Duggan like a super running quarterback, but he could run the ball at TCU. So it does seem like running quarterbacks can impact the defense a little bit, since we know Ravens style very well, since we've been running it the last 3 years with the 4-2-5. So what say you about that? I mean, like what do you think is going to need what's going to change in terms of the dynamic now? And as D'Anton Lynn is like thinking through this now that Alex Orji is definitely the starting quarterback.
Well, we know the weak points of this defense, right? So we know where we should be able to exploit it. Now, with Alex Orji, he brings the dual threat capabilities, and also his ability to run the ball should put pressure on the defense to at least respect the run more, and that should open up passing lanes on play action, whether it be slants, crossing routes. I feel like if Orji is successful and at least staying on staying on schedule, right? Not falling behind the chains, right? If we can stay on schedule and have sustained drives with Alex Orji, we should have the ability to wear the defense down. If the offensive line plays well, if Crippen is starting, that's key in my opinion. If Crippen is starting at center, then we should have the ability to sustain drives, stay on schedule, because this could be tough to tackle Alex Orji. Like, he's going to get 3 yards. In Khalil Mullins, we saw what he can do when he gets his opportunities. Hopefully, he's RB1. That's another thing we're going to be looking for. If this is the case, then I expect Michigan to have a stronger chance at sustaining drives, wearing down defenses, controlling the clock, and that's how Michigan likes to play football. This is one way that Michigan can secure victory on Saturday against USC.
Absolutely, and you see it here. As we noted the 2 quarterbacks before, and they both have 2 touchdowns. One has 0 interceptions, one has 6. So with all the talk of Warren being a better passing quarterback, well, I think it might be better to put the ball on the ground versus giving the ball to the other team. So let's see how Orji does with his passing opportunities. So reason 2 that Michigan can beat USC is that the defense will learn. We started to see against Arkansas State that there weren't got a lot of their points, right? Was second string defense, but first string defense seemed to be holding pretty solidly. So I guess with another week of practice under their belt, they could really learn from what they kind of were doing a little off. They were kind of a bit off, let's be real, with the first couple of games. So what do you think about that?
Absolutely. It's another week to get familiarity, right? It's the linebackers can get more familiar with Wink Martindale's scheme. Also, what I think it allows us this week 2 to week 3, or I'm sorry, week 3 to week 4 transition here is we now know we are learning what players we can trust and what players we cannot. Like we all saw that Michigan started rotating guys at the end of the Arkansas State game. We are developing our 14, 15, 16 guys on defense that we can really trust. That's throughout the Big Ten play. That's occurring, right? So I think Michigan obviously has a better feel for themselves. Now, hopefully things are going to be corrected, the mistakes, the errors, the miscommunication on the back end, which was done largely by our backups, Pollard, who's got burned on that touchdown against Arkansas State. But if these things are cleaned up, which they should be through film and then obviously time on task, repetition, this should be improved. Now, again, we are going against a dynamic offense. We know this. We respect Miller Moss. He's one of the top quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the Big Ten.
Yep.
That said, if Michigan, and another thing too, I fully expect Michigan to open its defensive playbook here, and there really should be nothing left in it that isn't utilized to try and extinguish this USC offense.
Yeah. I want to see more disguise stuff. I want to see more sophistication. I don't want to see there's just so much blitzing. And if there's as much blitzing, and I think one of our YouTube members actually put the percentages in here. But if the reality is Miller Moss is too good to just go a very basic blitz. He will find it, he will isolate it, and he's going to cook you for 30 or 40 yards a pop if you do that. So what I'm really hoping is that Wink Martindale can add a little bit more of a disguise to what he does and mix things up a little bit more man too. I feel like zone is great, and zone has helped us beat Ohio State, but you got to mix it up a little bit too. So hopefully some of those things can be implemented for a game as big as this one against a quarterback as good as this one.
Yeah, we definitely need more creativity. It seems we've seen bland. It's not what we're used to at all.
Now, here's reason 3. We think that Khalil Mullings is that guy. He has won the Leaders and Best Award for that we awarded this Saturday. He went for 15 carries, 153 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. If Khalil Mullings is RB1, that may let's face it. He has almost. I can't compare him yet directly to Blake Corum, but he seems to have a Corum-esque ability to make more yards happen than some other running backs, including Donovan.
I will say he has a Corum-like vision. That would be my comparison. Is Khalil Mullins has a good feel for the game. He has good balance, good patience, good vision. He's not the fastest player, but he's not the quickest either. But he is quick enough and fast enough to make defenses pay. Like Alex Orji is going to be QB1. I believe that Khalil Mullins should be RB1. He's earned the job, in my opinion. Donovan Edwards is good. No one is saying do not put him on the field, but utilize him properly. He needs to be put in optimal positions on the field. I really hope they split him out wide. I really hope he's in the slot more. He's an excellent pass catcher. We've all seen it. There's enough evidence throughout his career that shows that he is a dynamite receiver. Some of the catches he's made, one-handed catches, I don't know why he's not being utilized more. So hopefully this week is when they unleash the Don as more of a pass catching weapon. And they let Khalil Mullins and Ben Hall cook because both of them look very good.
Yeah, Ben Hall is somebody I really want to see more of. So I was very impressed when I watched USC beat LSU when it happened, right? I thought, and even now I stand by, I think it was a good win, but I will say LSU's been looking a little shaky in the last couple of weeks. So I still think that's a better win than anything Michigan has. Let's be real about that. Fresno and Arkansas State, not exactly world beaters. However, that's something. That's a data point, at least. That, okay, LSU is not a top 5 team. But USC still had to put together a game plan to beat them. So that's something. So I thought I'd throw it out because it's something that we've noticed. LSU's not what they have been in the past.
Yeah, Brian Kelly is looking potentially shaky down there at LSU. I mean, look, it's a good win. You got the victory against LSU, against an SEC team. Hats off to that, no question about it. But the way USC looked against South Carolina, it makes you wonder, how good is LSU? This is the thing about being so early in the season. You don't truly know how strong these teams are just yet. You're kind of just focused on name recognition. So I think it's potentially possible LSU is not as good as we think they are. But I'll say this though, Miller Moss was damn impressive in that game. So it's something to be aware of. But because LSU might not be the juggernaut we think they are, I think this opens up potential opportunity for Michigan to creep in, and I would say steal the victory because they are not favored in this game. So it's a potential opportunity to get a big win against a team that may not have played against as strong of an LSU team as we might have thought before.
Absolutely. And finally, because I know that our friends are waiting patiently, so I'm going to get to this one real quick, is that Michigan, we believe Michigan can win the turnover battle with Will Johnson, with that defense and their playmakers, that Alex Orji can protect the ball on his side where Davis Warren couldn't. And maybe that's because they passed 3 times in the whole game or 5 times in the whole game. But it seems like they kind of have packages for those couple of passes where they seem to connect, or at the very least almost connect with Fred Moore. So for those reasons, Michigan really does have a shot to win the turnover battle.
Yeah, I mean, the key is ball security. This is why Davis Warren lost the job, because he does not possess ball security or good decision making, right? So if Alex Orji can protect the ball, make good decisions, make good reads, and he should. I mean, short to intermediate passes, he shouldn't be put in a position where, and he's going against a defensive scheme he's familiar with, right? This isn't, now obviously there's gonna be a little bit of, every coordinator has their own variations to the defense, right? But there's been enough time to review the film. They should have it down. Lamar Morgan is familiar with the scheme. Wink Martindale obviously is the architect of the scheme. They should know the scheme inside and out. So I would expect that Michigan, as long as they play smart football and take advantage of their defense against Miller Moss, we should win this turnover battle. I think that is a big potential key to victory. Not a potential key. It is a key to victory. If we are to win this battle, Michigan can come out on top on Saturday.
Absolutely. And I think that this Adam Super Chat is the absolute perfect introduction for our two USC experts here. So Adam is a mainstay over at the USC channel and helps fund the Conquest Call-In show every week. So let's bring them in now because they know Adam very well. We're going to start with Matt Zemek, who is obviously editor of Trojans Wire, helps host the various shows in the USC channel. We're going to start with Matt himself. We got Matt here. Fight on. How you doing?
Ready for game week. This is going to be fun. And, I've listened to you for the past 10, 15 minutes. Didn't listen at the very start of the show, but caught you the past 10 minutes. Lots of solid observations. I think that, the point about LSU not looking very good, we have to take that into context with USC, just how good is that LSU win? I mean, obviously it was a great win to start the season, and LSU does have a lot of talent, but LSU is not well coached. And also LSU's offensive line, which, guys in Louisiana were saying, this is the best offensive line I've ever seen. Well, that was a preseason observation, and it definitely hasn't held up well. So that goes into, a recalibration of matchups in the trenches, which, in my mind are going to be front and center in this game. Pun not intended. That's where this game's going to be won or lost. Does Miller Moss get time? Does he get a clean pocket on the road in the big house? Does he get a comfort zone? Or does that Michigan defensive line, which, got a real education from Texas, Does that,
Yep.
but that could help Michigan, right? You went up against the best, like Texas
Number
looks
one
the part.
in the country. Yeah.
Texas looks the part, and that could be the best thing for Michigan going into this game. So my view is I'm expecting a slugfest. I'm expecting a rock fight. Like this could be Woody versus Bo, 1973.
There we go.
Absolutely.
That kind of game.
Well, let's see
be,
what.
It could be your grandfather's 3 yards in a cloud of dust on Saturday afternoon. So, I'm seeing lots of people pick USC 30-17, 33-18, 34-20. I'll take the ugliest 13-12 win you've ever seen, and we'll ride out of town a happy man.
Well, let's see what Mr. Tim Prangley. Let's see if he agrees. Bo versus Woody. How about that? Tim Prangley, host also Trojan Conquest Live, coming up in about an hour and a half. Conquest Call-In Show and Trojans Wire. Tim, thanks for joining us, man.
No, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Well, I don't know about Bo versus Woody because I don't think I don't think Woody had the receivers that USC has. So I think this is not going to be a slugfest, Matt. I think this game will be decided through the air. And I do think that USC has the better athletes on the outside. Will Johnson's awesome. I have nightmares of Miller Moss throwing some of those balls in the flat he's got away with earlier this season that he easily could have possibly just out of the reach of the defensive backs from going for 6 the other way. I don't think that he'll have that room with Will Johnson, especially. But I'm not sure if it's gonna be a slugfest. No, Matt, I'm not sure on that one. We'll see. Matt's usually right, but I'm not seeing
your boy Adam, who you both know very well, and he comes on to our channels too and supports, and great dude. Has defended Michigan in various instances, but this week he's fight on, and I'd be the same way. So I got him. $20 here. USC will wear down the Michigan defense, which, while good, doesn't have the same depth as last year, and accordingly will get fatigued. That's the difference. So he's already giving his prediction. We're not. You're a little ahead of us, Adam, but that's okay because you gave $20, so that's fine. But he's giving his prediction 30-17. So what do you think? What do you? Let's get TJ's take first, and then we'll get your guys' take on that comment.
Well, I'll say this. We all saw against Texas something we're not used to seeing. And that was a defense who was exhausted in the second quarter. We're not used to that. Our defense actually never gets exhausted, but we're starting to see signs of that this year, which is very interesting. There is a bit lack of depth. They've tried to rotate guys. So, for example, against Texas, we put in our backup defensive lineman, and they got pushed off the ball. Now we do have Rayshon Benny. He's very good. So we have about 3 defensive tackles we can rely on right now. But against Arkansas State, we put in our second unit, and our second unit's the ones who gave up all those points at the end of the game. So we are very reliant on our starters right now. We also are seeing our defense get gassed, which I'm not used to seeing. So if this is a track meet like Tim Prangley is forecasting, then we could be in for a defense that is exhausted. And this is why it is key that Michigan sustains drives and stays on schedule. Because against Texas, in the very beginning of the game, we kept stalling. And then eventually our defense wore down, and our defense could not stop them on third down. If we can attempt to get USC off the field and we can sustain drives, then that is when it will be a ball game. If we do not do that, then Tim's probably going to be accurate in his prediction.
Yeah, the USC guys.
So what do you guys think about that?
Let me ask you guys. So obviously with Orji in and Davis Warren out, it's probably going to, the needle's going to move more toward the run, but Orji's going to have to throw, right, to keep the box light, to keep USC from just ganging up at the line of scrimmage. So what do you think in terms of sequencing? I always like to get into first down, second down. Do you try and establish the run on 1st and 10, or do you throw the 6-yard pass on first down to try and get into second and short medium, manageable. It's going to be a balancing act, because obviously if Michigan can pound the ball for 5 yards on first down, like that's the ideal. But you might have to be throwing on first down, at least early in this game in the first quarter, to lighten up that tackle box and keep USC guessing. So how do you think the Michigan staff sequences its plays first, second down?
So unfortunately, I think we're going to be predictable. I really do. And the reason why I say that is because we have not seen any creativity of our scheme, of our play calling yet. We've actually seen our coaches put our players so far this season in positions where it kills momentum. They make very poor choices. Now, it does appear, though, they are committing to a quarterback, so we won't see this dual quarterback juggling they were doing earlier in the year against Texas and Fresno State. But my concern, so what we will see on first down, do your prop bets, do whatever, they're running the ball. They're running the ball on first down. You can just, if we see, I'll tell you this, though, if we do see creativity out of the coaching staff and they start doing some play action or some nice, short to immediate roll, or even, some rollouts, some strong RPOs, then we're talking. But I just haven't seen it this year, guys. Like, just that's where we are. Like right now, I think the fan base, as well as myself, our trust in the coaching staff is a bit dwindled at the moment, and we're just in observation mode, trying to understand, are they in over their heads on some of this? Because although I will say this, obviously Shermore was offensive coordinator last year. He coordinated a championship caliber offense. He got the job done, but we are not seeing that creativity this year at all. Like what we did against Alabama. Now, again, Orji is a different quarterback than JJ, so it's a bit different. You have to go with different strategies here. But at the same time, the creativity has been lacking. And the feel for the game has been lacking. So it's a bit of a concern on Michigan's end right now.
Yeah, 2 words. Read option. What I want to happen versus what I think is going to happen are 2 very different things. What I think is going to happen is read option over and over and over and over again. Sometimes it goes to Orji. Sometimes it's Mullings. Maybe you get lucky and there's on Maze Madman last night, we talked about a running back screen that we haven't seen since last year's team with Corum. So there are some things that I think they might go with. A lot of it depends on if Colston Loveland is fully healthy, to be honest with you, because Colston Loveland, I don't know if y'all have been playing college football 25, or even if you've just watched Colston. Out of everybody in the pass game, he is the one player that consistently gets separation, that consistently is an obvious option for whoever's the quarterback. And you could talk about the other receivers and tight ends as much as you want, but if he's healthy and playing, I think that's when you start to see things open up a little bit, because he can, even with Alex Orji not being the best passer, he can catch the ball with pretty much. I think if some of us go out there, we might be able to throw the ball successfully to Colston Loveland. He's that good. He's 6'5". So I think that he's a big factor. I want to get your guys' take on that too, but I do want to thank Moose, because Moose just gifted 5 memberships. So congratulations to Philip Buford, Jason Bode, Keegan Imhoff, Les Austin, and Tez. Nice. All of you just got Those Who Stay Will Be Champions memberships for 30 days. Congratulations. And thanks to Moose for once again being the Oprah and giving out some memberships for everybody. Really appreciate you, man. And I hope everybody enjoys their membership. But yeah, I want to kind of dive into the defense. And we've talked a little bit about this on Conquest Collins' show. I think I asked this question, either called in or asked this question. But we kind of diving into it's only been one offseason. However, unlike with Ohio State, unlike with other programs that have implemented a new defensive system, defensive coordinator, something remarkable has happened here. I'm gonna give you your flowers. All of a sudden, USC has at least a top 40 defense when they did have a lot, not so much. Let's be real. They can tackle now, like players can tackle. There are things that he's doing. I'd love to just get your takes on, maybe a factor from each of you, or 2 factors from each of you, on what he's implemented that has caused USC to actually create, stops and cause third down stops and fourth down stops and all that good stuff.
Well, so the issue is not really the tackling and it's not the players. Last year it was really a scheme issue, and I think that Lincoln Riley did a good job talking about this after practice, saying that it's amazing. When you see better tackling, it's not necessarily better technique, although they have been. I've watched them. There's been a lot of emphasis on tackling at practice, but it's really just having guys in position to make plays. You can have a great athlete out there, put them in a bad position, and then they got to make a tackle against a Division I athlete. I mean, I don't know if anyone ever here has tried to tackle someone out in open space. It's not one of the easiest things in the entire world to do. Placing your team in a position to be successful is one of the biggest things that have changed. Another thing that's happened is you've seen the evolution of the coaching and the development. So that is a big portion of the tackling. It's clearly it's been an emphasis for them to get more physical and to work on their tackling. But Riley really downplayed that part of it. He really just said, you know what, the guys are in position, they're making plays. Maybe his nicest way he could say that last year they didn't know what the hell they were doing. And going back, if we could though, going back to you guys talked about Colston. Is there any word on him? Because here's the thing. I'm wondering if they're going to more of a run game, because you got your best receiver now questionable. I'm sure he's going to play, but we all know also just because he's going to suit up and play doesn't mean he's at 100%. And if you're a receiver, you kind of need that arm. Do you guys have any idea? Like, I'm sure TJ's watched the film. Do you know what's actually probably injured? Is it shoulder, elbow, wrist? What is it?
So I don't know what's injured, but so apparently the injury is less severe than anticipated, and the speculation is he may play this weekend. They don't know. It hasn't been confirmed yet, so he may play. I mean, obviously this is a major game, so if he's going to play or if he can play, he will play. I would expect that, but I don't know the word. I know we have it here. We'll see. Hogan Hanson's going to get an expanded role. That's the backup to the F-type tight end. I mean, I would also anticipate more Marlon Klein. We started to see him last week. There's been a lot of hype out of him out of camp. But yeah, I mean, listen, if he can't play, then our most dynamic offensive threat is eliminated, which is a major problem for us. So, and plus with a quarterback like Alex Orji, a tight end is one of the best matches you can have. So we'll see. I mean, I would say it appears it's like a 60-70% chance he'll play. It appears, but I mean, it's so early to know. It's only Tuesday, so we don't know yet.
I know. Hey, drugs are great. And if it's a pain thing, you can play through it. Drugs are wonderful. Right. But again, at some point, if you are injured and you're receiving quarterback, a receiving a tight end, it's again a question. I thought right away, again, when I heard Orji was the call, I kind of scratched it. I know that ball security has been an issue, but at the same time, isn't there a reason why Alex Orji wasn't named the starting quarterback behind multiple quarterbacks during the season? So I'm not sure. I mean, I see a lot of optimism. I'm listening to you guys, but I'm wondering, what is it that you've got you so optimistic about? Because we know how if you go one-dimensional against in modern defenses, it's really tough unless you have a super elite offense. Like maybe your offensive line last year could probably lean and do it, but with a questionable offensive line seemingly going towards a run-heavy offense, one-dimensional, what is the avenue you see that they could do that and be successful?
TJ, I know you want to hit this one first. So go
first of all, we were kind of sold a bill of goods during camp. So first of all, there was a lot of hype around Orji, and not only it wasn't just things leaking from practice. Every single insider, every single journalist who was getting, because I don't know about USC how they do practice during fall camp, but it is closed off to anybody. No one can see anything at camp for Michigan. So there was a lot of hype out of Alex Orji looking more polished as a passer, going through his progressions, more comfortable in the pocket. And the word was out of camp all the way up until the final week that Alex Orji was QB1. And then the word is Davis Warren had an astounding final week of camp, 80% completion percentage, like 87% is like the actual figure. and he just looked amazing, and he stole the job. That was the word out of Ann Arbor, is he stole the job. So they made him QB1. They made Davis Warren QB1. And it's like, well, and then like the speculation or the smoke was, well, it wasn't that Alex Orji lost the job. Alex Orji played really well. Davis Warren just overtook it, right? But then we saw during the game, Tim and Matt, the way they were utilizing Orji, it looked like they don't trust him. So we're very skeptical. As a fan base, we are all skeptical. Like, there's optimism because going into the season, we believe that Alex Orji, many people in the Michigan community, of course, you have your side. Some people are Team Tuttle or Team Warren. But going into the year, majority of us wanted to see Alex Orji because we think he gives us the highest ceiling, because we saw him actually perform very well in spring ball. And he showed his dual capabilities, and he was actually was throwing at a 70% clip. He looked pretty good. But when he gets into games, the way the coaching staff utilized him, it almost was like they were afraid to call any passing plays. And then he did have one play where he rolled out to the right and he completely threw the ball and it went to the dirt, like 5 feet away from the receiver. So it was very, and then we were like, oh, okay, there's a problem here. So we are, I think as a fan base, we are cautiously optimistic because we believe in the theory of Alex Orji, but we have not seen it come to light yet. And I'll tell you this, though, Tim and Matt, if he was truly the guy, he would have started week 1. There's a reason it's there's a reason it's week 4, Big Ten play.
At least we hope. At least we hope that they have enough of an ability to evaluate.
Yeah.
And they're putting the right conditions in practice, and we're taking that a little bit on faith because of what they did last year. But we need to remember that, number one, a lot of coaches are now playing are now in the NFL, either at the Chargers, the Seahawks. I think there's one somewhere else, but a lot of them went to the NFL, and some of the key talent on the offense also did. But I'm talking about coaches because they create the scenarios in practice where these quarterbacks are going up against the 1s, the 2s, 3, and they come up with all of these things in the various days of practice, and what drills do they work on and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm a little concerned at their ability. I'm going to just say it. I'm a little concerned right now in their ability to pick the guy. And I wasn't, before this season, but I know that Alex Orji, if nothing else, let's say he throws half of his passes into the freaking dirt. Okay. He's not giving them to the other team. That's good. Okay. He's not, and he's running the ball. So I think, let's see what they can draw up. But at the very least, I think he's going to do better. At least I hope, than 3 picks. And knock on wood, I'm knocking on the wood right now. But we'll see. I do want to get to 3 super chats, if you don't mind, guys. Blue Wolverine 999. I really enjoy the mixed panels. We do too, Blue. And we also thank you because, Blue, you have been really awesome on our show. I know Cliff and Mac and others like you have been out there, and we really appreciate you. And that's why you have an emoji. Can everybody drop the blue? If you're a member, you could drop the blue Wolverine emoji in chat right now. Thank you so much for your $9.99. GT, $5 here. I think Michigan has to keep USC around 20 points in order to win this game, which is a pretty tall order. I would agree with you, GT. That is a pretty tall order, knowing the offensive, the abilities of Lincoln Riley to play call for Miller Moss, which I commented. Remember in the bowl game, I said, wait a minute. It seems like he's actually calling plays better for Miller Moss than he did at times for Caleb. Like, it just seems to flow so much better with Miller Moss for some reason. So I guess, I'd love to get your guys' take on that super chat. Like, do you think that's the scenario that Michigan has to keep USC to 20 points?
Matt?
I would say this. I think 20 is the number if USC doesn't hand Michigan, a defensive touchdown or special teams touchdown. And I think that really gets to the heart of this game on the most elemental central level. If Michigan has to work hard for all its points, meaning no defensive touchdowns, no special teams touchdowns, and it has to drive 70 or more yards every time, it doesn't get a short field, it doesn't get a kick return, any of that, USC probably wins. But if Michigan can get points from defense and special teams, then the normal conventional wisdom, how many points Michigan's going to need to hold USC to, goes out the window. So really the 20 points holds. The 20 points is pretty much right if USC does not hand deliver any freebies to Michigan.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Matt. I mean, I was going to save this for our show late in about an hour or so, but I mean, since you got a super chat, I'll throw it out there. The keys to the game for me are ball security by SC. USC takes care of the ball. I think it might be pretty tough for Michigan to win this game. That's how I feel. SC can't settle for field goals. SC has been sloppy in the red zone with penalties, drop balls, ended up costing about 10 points against LSU. They can't do that because points can be a premium. Everyone's writing off, not everyone. There are many people in the nation writing off Michigan's defense, and they're crazy. This is a solid defense. It's going to test USC. And then the last thing's penalties. Like Matt just said, we can't help out Michigan's offense by extending plays with dumb penalties and vice versa. We can't make dumb mistakes against a good defense, ending drives on offense. So if SC plays the basic is if SC plays a clean game, and they score, more than 20 points, I would find it very difficult for Michigan to win this game, in my opinion.
Okay, TJ.
No, I mean, I think if we can hold USC to 20 points, then that's definitely a path to victory. And I agree with Tim here, where if USC plays a clean game, no turnovers, no bad penalties, I do find it a far more steeper climb for Michigan to get this victory, given what we've seen. Now, hopefully week 4, we see a team going into Big Ten play who's extremely motivated with a fire under their ass because they have a lot to prove. They know in the locker room, they know what's being said. So, it's on them to step up this week and really make a statement to the world, because this is going to be a primetime game here. Like everyone's going to be watching USC Michigan. You know what I mean? So we're looking at a heavyweight matchup. In theory, we'll see if Michigan comes to the plate. I mean, I'm less concerned about USC. Well, I'm concerned about USC, but for this to be the heavyweight matchup, we think it has the potential to be. I think USC is coming to play. I just hope Michigan is as well. That's the concern, because we have seen Michigan, unfortunately, falter to another elite juggernaut in college football right now, and that's Texas. So, but I think if Michigan can hold them to 20, we have a great opportunity to get the victory.
Yeah, that word if Michigan can hold USC to 20, that word if is doing a lot of lifting, given what Miller Moss is able to do. And there was a comment, I think, from a USC fan earlier that said, watch out for USC's tight ends, because everybody always talks about the wide receiver talent. And of course, we all know that Lincoln Riley can coach, he can get quarterbacks coached up to a very elite level. And we know that the wide receiver talent's there. But I thought that comment was extremely interesting, because I don't normally think USC tight ends. But that comment was in there, and I would love to just hear your take on that. Like, how does Miller Moss need to feed the receivers and the tight ends here to win in the pass game?
You want me to go, Matt?
Sure.
In the pass game, yeah, it's well, you saw two things. You saw, especially in the game, where you have both. They've been running with the run game. They've been putting in. They're doing two. It's not 12 personnel, because you have Lake McCree lined up in the backfield. Really, it's like a 21, and then you got an H back, depending on who it's going to be slotted out. So they're using that to run, but as a whole, you saw if you drop your safeties back, Miller will pick you apart over the middle, right? He'll just drop it right in. And if you try to stack the line, they're athletic. Lake McCree has shown that he's athletic enough to go out and make catches. Yeah, I mean, recently, this is the most we've seen Riley use his tight ends. Late in the Helton era, the tight ends just disappeared. But I mean, throughout history, USC's had solid tight end play. But as of recent, I would have to say, yeah, probably not. But if you have Eldridge and Lake McCree,
wow,
that way they got it lined up, it's pretty impressive.
like that's a tight end has the most receiving yards out of every personnel on here. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely something I wasn't expecting, and really impressive.
One thing for me to add on in all this is that, if you watch that LSU game closely, USC did a lot of wide receiver screens and like short hitch patterns, really quick stuff outside the numbers to give Miller Moss just some easy completions. It was week 1. You just get him into a rhythm, just easy pitch and catch. LSU began to really bite down on those wide receiver screens on the edges. And you saw USC then go to the tight end along the hash marks in the middle third of the field as the mid-game adjustment to LSU biting down on the wide receiver screens. So it was not like the first point of attack against LSU. It was an adjustment to LSU coming up hard on the outside, on the boundaries. So it's going to be interesting to see how Lincoln Riley, who, he makes defenses account for the full width and length of the field. And so whether the tight end is like his first attack point or whether it's an adjustment, it's a secondary attack point that flows from the first attack point, that's going to be a natural plot point for this game in terms of how USC goes at Michigan's defense.
Got a couple more super chats here. Tim, prepare thyself for Nick's $1.99 kamikazes, as he likes to do. Usually it's to the Buckeyes, to be fair. Okay, 99% of them are to the Buckeyes. But in this case, obviously with USC week, Tim, you're ready to get whipped Saturday. USC is so soft. Wow. I don't think they're as soft as third base Ryan Day.
That's a 2023 thing. USC ain't soft no more.
I don't think so. I
think Nick's been drinking too many of his own 199 kamikazes. I think that's Nick's problem. And I'll tell you, Nick, a lot of people told us, not just LSU fans, but the national media, how soft we were and how LSU is going to run the ball down our throat. That was literally what people were saying. And you know what? That's also what you guys said in 2007. I'm just going to leave that right there as well. How they're going to come out and beat the Surfer Boys. That didn't work out too well for your quarterback. Was it Henny? I don't know if it was Henny. I can't remember who said this comment. So, I mean, hey, look, you know what? Who knows? They play the game on the field. Maybe you guys will come take it to us, but history hasn't been kind to people that talk smack like that to USC.
Yeah, and here's a more positive one. So Moose is agreeing with you, Tim, on the Orji situation. He is not on the Orji hype train. He was actually a Davis Warren. He was going for Davis Warren there. But Orji obviously getting the start now. I'll believe it when I see it Saturday. I think that's the mentality of a lot of Michigan fans. I'll believe it when I see it because the first 3 games.
We're
cautiously optimistic. Go ahead, Tim.
When something's not working, John, you guys have talented athletes on your team. Sometimes you got to go to the relief pitcher. Do you know what I mean? And who knows? He comes in. And by the way, the bullpen's not. You could just because you guys are starting Orji doesn't mean Orji finishes the game either. I mean, if he gets out there and struggles, they're going to have to pull him. But I mean, we're going to have to see this. It's a nice wrinkle. It's a good wrinkle to have, right? If it's not working in the passing game, the guy's a great athlete. And we'll see. We'll see on Saturday.
So there's a historical callback to make here. All right, at USC. And obviously Michigan fans are hoping that this comes even remotely close. At USC, there is a proven instance of USC not having the right quarterback through the first 3 games of the season. And then a new quarterback being inserted in week 4. That quarterback who was inserted in week 4 won the rest of the games USC played that season. He beat Penn State in the Rose Bowl. He's the only, he's the quarterback who made Clay Helton, a terrible football coach, look good. That guy's name is Sam Darnold. Yep, yes, that's right. So he came in week 4 after Clay Helton just, couldn't have coached his way out of a wet paper bag in the first 3 weeks of the season. So hey, there's your parallel, Michigan fans.
There we go.
A coaching staff absolutely trips over its shoelaces the first 3 weeks, and then, we make a change in week 4, and everything happens for the better.
Oh, man.
There's a historical precedent. We at USC hope that history does not repeat itself.
I hope you're not expecting me to defend you, Matt. when next week people come at you saying that you compared Orji to Sam Darnold. Now listen, Sam Darnold played on some, especially at 27. Yeah. The next year was pretty rough, and that wasn't Sam's fault. That was just a team thing. But you just compared Orji to Sam Darnold, who is like saint-like during those dark times at USC. So I'm just gonna leave that out there for you, okay?
And I'm surprised he didn't come at you on the Clay. I thought Clay Helton was a banned phrase over there. But.
Only when you're losing. Only when you're losing, John. Winning fixes all that stuff. We've all been there as a program.
No.
You hang on to the losses until you start winning again. As who? What?
Yeah,
that's Georgia Southern's problem.
I'm just saying that a week 4 quarterback change has helped USC before. Yeah. We'll see if it helps Michigan. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying Michigan is going to become this maize and blue steamroller the next 9 weeks.
What Matt's really saying is the stars are aligning. The stars are aligning, and Orji's going to turn to Jalen Milroe, is what he's saying. So I get it. I appreciate it, Matt. Thank you.
Well, I
think on a serious note, on a more serious note, this is what I find particularly interesting about the Orji situation. Some USC beat writers have mentioned, wait, why did Sharon Moore make this public? Why didn't he just spring the surprise on Saturday? I'm sure there are plenty of Detroit Red Wings fans in the chat, and you all know that in the playoffs, they talk about upper body injury, or they're not gonna specify which body part. They don't want to put a little target on your elbow or your hip or whatever. So point being that this is Sharon Moore could have been cloak and dagger like an NHL coach about this, but no, he just put it out there. He didn't try to surprise anybody. And that leads me to think that there's something up Michigan's sleeve, that there's going to be some exotic stuff. There's going to be some, toy box, funhouse things that are not going to show up on film. I have to believe that if Moore's going to bother to be transparent about all this, instead of, just springing it on USC on Saturday, that there's got to be something to come off of that.
I thought, Matt, you were going to talk about the USC's history of backup quarterbacks, the top quarterback going down, backup quarterbacks coming in, like Trevita Pritchard, who's the guy from Stanford, or the kid from Barnes from UCLA way back in the day. I mean, USC has a history of that happening, where some dude comes out of nowhere, balls out of plays out of his mind in one game and steals one from SC. But that's a route I thought you were going about in history. But I'm not even going there. I'm stepping away from your Darnold. Your Darnold comment was enough. I'm stepping away from the whole thing.
So, all right. Well, what do you guys? So, what do you guys think about Sharon Moore making that comment, though? So, what's interesting, even more interesting, is he made that public announcement before he told the players. The players didn't know. The players found out when the media started asking them questions, and they were unaware that this was announced. So, what do you guys think about Sharon Moore's tactic here?
I mean, it's not like USC wasn't going to prepare to see Orji in the game. If Warren's struggling, Orji's probably coming in the second half. It's not like they're going to not be prepared for that kind of a situation, because it wasn't like Warren was killing it, right? So there's a chance that you're going to see Orji's out. But now I guess USC's had a little more time to take, to realize it. But again, it doesn't mean they're not going to switch it up and bring somebody in, later on the game. Like I said before, Orji's going to start. Orji's going to finish the game. So you had to prepare for it.
Jack Tuttle's return. Watch Jack Tuttle get in this game and get the victory, and then Keith's going to call us.
That would be injured. Something.
So he didn't even take part in warmups on Saturday. He was dressed but didn't take parts because he's still injured. So
yeah,
we'll see. I mean, we'll see what the practice, like, if anything leaks this week. But I mean, I don't anticipate Jack Tuttle making an entrance this Saturday.
Well, we first had Sam Darnold comparisons. Well, now Brian here with the 5 saying Orji is 2016 Jalen Hurts with the ceiling of Auburn Cam Newton. So we're just really throwing out. Let's just throw Michael Vick out there. I mean, why not? Like Lamar. I mean, let's just go crazy. But we do appreciate the $5 contribution, and I hope you know that, Brian. We always appreciate that. But
I don't know about you guys, but Alex Orji looks like Tim Tebow to me.
Hey, get a
There we
jump
go.
pass.
Hey, get those natties, bro. He's gonna do a speech just like Tim Tebow, and you guys are screwed. That's
Well,
what's
he
gonna
said
happen.
he gave that speech after the loss, so I don't think we'd be screwed. It would be actually a victory. So
The speech was yesterday.
oh, okay.
We just don't know about it yet. We don't know about it yet.
So I know we
It's
started
not
talking
public.
about keys to the game, earlier, but just to kind of crystallize it, and of course we do want to encourage everybody to go over at in about 40 some minutes to Trojan Conquest Live to get even more of a take on USC Michigan. However, if you had to pick like one or two things that you think are going to drive a USC victory, we'll start with Matt because I know Tim chimed in a little bit already, but we'll go to you as well. But Matt, what do you think USC needs to do to beat Michigan here?
So the thing I've already said, and it requires no elaboration at all, just don't give Michigan any freebies or cheapies. That's number one. But beyond that, USC's offensive line has to stand up to Michigan's defensive line. And, obviously dominating would be great, but play to a draw. Don't get beaten outright. Like make sure that it's a pretty even fight in the trenches, because if we say that it's an even battle, that means that, Michigan's not consistently caving the pocket. Michigan's not consistently creating negative plays, that USC is in, second and medium, third and, if not short yardage, maybe just 3 or 4 yards, such that, you can just throw a 3 or 4 yard pass to move the sticks. As long as USC's offensive line can at least play to a draw against Michigan's defensive front, it likely points to, Miller Moss not being too uncomfortable. It points to USC having some degree of time of possession and therefore field position as well. You're at least getting 2-3 first downs a drive. You punt the ball and you put Michigan inside its own 15-yard line. That gets back to what I've said. If you make Michigan drive 80 yards and you don't hand deliver Michigan any cheap points or short fields, USC, if that's the kind of game that's played, USC probably wins. So it really goes to USC's offensive line, because I love this USC defense. You asked earlier, what's been the change? Well, we went from having a completely incompetent staff to a very professional staff. I mean, that's really the long and short of it. And I'm sold on this staff. It's not blind faith either, because we saw D'Anton Lynn transform a pretty average group of UCLA players into a good, tough, physical defense. And by the way, let's talk about UCLA just for a moment to underscore how great D'Anton Lynn was with
Yeah, I know where you're going.
UCLA just got dump trucked by Indiana, losing by 29 at home, giving up 42 points. D'Anton Lynn, that game probably would have been 13-13 heading into the final few minutes. So the regression we've instantly seen at UCLA only magnifies D'Anton Lynn even more. So again, it's not blind faith in D'Anton Lynn. There's already a track record that he's accumulating. So I'm sold on USC's defense and its ability to contain Michigan, as long as the USC offensive line can do a reasonably good job. Doesn't have to hit it out of the park. Doesn't have to be Miggy Cabrera 2013. As long as USC, hits a solid double and can, pretty much play even against Michigan's defensive front, I'm pretty confident of a USC victory. But I do need to see this offensive line on the road in the big house perform up to that standard.
Yeah. I liked what Victor Rocha said and kind of go along with, I already told you guys what my keys were, but Matt, I like what you said, but I'd even go a step further. The thing USC has to watch out for is we're talking about Michigan. We're talking about the defensive line. And if you're going to have a defensive line where you're going to let Graham and Grant just kind of take over the game, that's the key to victory for Michigan. And so Victor was saying, do you think the SC is going to run the ball more? And I think that you have to keep Michigan honest. If they can pin their ears back and come after Miller, Matt, like you said, they don't have to win the battle. I mean, what they got to do is just not let Michigan dominate the battle. If they, like you said a stalemate, play them to the middle, just kind of hold them off, then yeah, I mean, that's good. Or even just lose the battle. but just don't let those guys play like the NFL studs that they're going to be and just kind of run Miller. You know, I'm visions of like Notre Dame last year with Caleb, where just the offensive line was just folding. This offensive line is not giving us any inclination that that's going to be the case in any game this year. But this is probably going to be a hell of a test for them. And if they can play it to, like you said, to a draw, or just maybe concede a little bit, but not let them take over this game and run the ball and play balanced football, then that's also gonna be very important. So yeah, I think you're right on that.
Yeah. So my three keys of the game are, especially for Michigan, is sustained drives for a dual purpose. One, keeping our defense off the field, giving our defense time to rest, and then keeping Miller Moss off the field, Lincoln Riley's offense off the field. The more that is, the better. The other one is we need pressure. Last week we got 1 sack against Arkansas State, against that porous offensive line of Arkansas. We got 1 sack with our defensive line. The week prior, we got 0 sacks against Texas. We have got to get pressure. We have got to get to Miller Moss to make them uncomfortable. And then my last key to victory is we have to hold them to field goals. We cannot allow touchdowns. So if we can at least hold them to preferably 3 and outs and no points, but if we are going to allow them to get some form of points, let's hold them to field goals. If we can do that, I do believe Michigan can come out with the victory.
USC has dropped, like flat out dropped, or have not secured the ball, by my count, at least 4 to 5 times this year. 2 of those times they ended up scoring a touchdown, but it's a couple, it was close. The other times they did have to settle for field goals. It should have been touchdowns. That's why Miller Moss, I believe he has like 1 or 2 I think he has 2 touchdown passes on the season. That stat is broken. He should have 5 to 6, but
I agree.
I mean, that's why you play the game. You got to make the plays. And like you said, TJ, if SC is settling for field goals, I said that too. I said, you can't settle for field goals. You got to push it for touchdowns. That's going to be key for this game for both teams.
Yeah, one thing to even dive more, you guys mentioned earlier the red zone issues, that there were actually some red zone issues on USC's offense. One thing Wink Martindale needs to do is to stop substituting so much, and especially in the red zone. I understand you need to rest guys, and I get that. And hopefully Alex Orji and Khalil Mullings and the O-line, and hopefully Crippen starts, and they can just kind of keep the defense a little bit more rested. But in the red zone, you can't put the second string in against USC. It's not going to work. It didn't even work against Arkansas freaking State. So you really can't do it against USC. So I think that's the biggest one. Wink Martindale just needs to do a better job of personnel management. And if he does that, and he can obviously, dial up some more exotic pat looks, then I think we're on to something. What I've seen so far, so I think they need to pull some things that we just haven't seen yet, to be honest. But we will see. Before we get to predictions, we do have a 999 here from Justin Shorter. I'm nervous for Michigan seeing this coaching staff look lost, and Ward giving Sharon immunity. It's not immunity. It's just what they know right now. It's not full immunity, just for the record, in his contract, when Jim asked for the same thing and he wouldn't do it. I will agree, Ward is the problem at U of M, but Sharon does not have full immunity, just for the record. But we do want to thank you for your $9.99. TJ, I don't know if you want to touch on that, but
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us look at this coaching staff and are a bit concerned with the early results. There's a lack of trust in the fan base right now, especially with what we were hearing out of camp and what we're seeing translate to the field. Regarding the contract, it is protection for what is known. So if anything comes to light or anything new that is not, they're already aware of. But here's the thing, right? The notice of allegations has already been seen by Michigan. This is actually a positive, guys. And the reason why it's a positive is because Michigan has already received the notice of allegations. There's nothing new coming to light. Michigan is comfortable moving forward, Sharon Moore, because of what's in this notice of allegations. The NCAA has hit a lot of dead ends on this, their search, which we've gone into over the summer many times. So that's actually a positive. And it does give Michigan the out if anything were to become uncovered in the future. Now, regarding Ward Manuel, we all agree there's issues there. We need a more progressive, innovative athletic director who is has the pulse of the current college athletic sphere, because our current one is about 20 years in the past, and he doesn't identify the trends and trajectory of college athletics. That's where we are right now in Michigan.
Yeah, we've straight up said, I mean, I did a show called The Last Dance. It was at this point about a year, 2 months ago. It's called The Last Dance. And I said, 2023, a lot of people, it's going to be their last year. I said Jim Harbaugh was going to the NFL. And I said, Ward Manuel needs to be fired, all of those things. And so we've been calling for this for quite some time. But now we have even more data points to kind of go on.
And to cap that, Ward Manuel's contract is up in 2025. So, and he has not been extended. So, and there's some speculation. They may be looking elsewhere, but that's just speculation and nothing confirmed. So we'll see where that goes. And hopefully we get a new progressive leader in the athletic department.
Knock on wood. Yeah. And there's quite a few. There are some great options. Heck, I'd take Hackett back. Remember Hackett, the guy that hired Jim Harbaugh? Remember him?
Yeah,
we know you run shivers up our spines when you say the name Hackett, right? I know we're talking about a different situation, but you said there's words that we don't want to hear. That one probably more than Helton, to be honest with you. But anyway.
Fair enough. So we're at the point in our previews where we give our predictions. And so I know that earlier in the show, we gave kind of the 5 keys for the Michigan side. You guys gave your take on what you think is going to happen. Would love to just hear what your thoughts are on how the game is going to go. Yeah, I'll let you guys tackle it either one.
Go ahead, Tim.
Well, I'm assuming, like I said, my keys to the game, the SC plays clean, right? Penalty wise, which they've done for the majority of this season. There's some misconception. There's a person in the chat that's confused with 90%, 93% scoring in the red zone. That includes field goals. So what my comment was is SC can't settle for field goals. They need to punch it in for touchdowns, and that people are dropping the ball. So just to clarify that your stat is a great stat. And we all know that SC is scoring 37 points per game. This offense isn't struggling. The point is that you're playing a solid defense on the road in a hostile crowd, and you're not going to be able to get away with drops in this game. I think that USC has to punch it in and not settle for 4 or 5 field goals. They need to get touchdowns. So I hope that clarifies it for the chat. As far as a score, how I think the game is going to go out, I think it's going to be your typical game between two very talented teams. I think it's going to be a little bit of a feeling each other out in the first quarter, and there's going to be some growing pains, probably even some little bit conservative play. But I do think if USC plays a clean game, the final score, I think USC is going to hold, actually, because that running's great, but once you get in that red zone, running the ball, it might be an issue for Michigan. I see a lot of field goals, so I'm going with. Oh wow, I'm giving my prediction now, not my show. Fine, I'll say it. USC is going to win this game 27-16. I think is the final score.
Okay.
That's
what do you got?
Final score.
So, Tim, just for those who don't watch our USC show here at the Voice of College Football, Tim's more Mr. Sunshine. I'm more dark rain clouds. And, I've lived in Seattle for 20 years, so I guess maybe it's the rain that just kind of gets into my thought process and my metaphors and whatnot. But I do think USC wins. I'm going to say that off the top. But I think it's going to be a really rough, bumpy ride. I do think it's going to be a slugfest. And Michigan fans know when USC and Michigan play in a big game, it's usually a rock fight. 10-3, 1970 Rose Bowl, Bo's first trip to Pasadena for the Granddaddy. 14-6 in 1977, 17-10. And of course, that's with USC actually just scored 10 points because USC did fumble on the one, and that was not a touchdown for the Trojans. So really, it was a 10-10 game. So when these guys play, it's usually a rock fight. I mean, it was a rock fight in the first half of the 2007 Rose Bowl before USC broke it open in the second half. So I'm going with a rock fight. And, Tim's point about USC can't settle for field goals, I think there's a nuance there. If USC has a touchdown, like the ball's on your hands, like, Saquon Barkley last night with the Eagles, like, okay, catch the ball. You got to make that play. But I mean, if Michigan plays great defense and USC has to settle for 3, might not be the worst thing in the world for USC. USC can't shank chip shot field goals the way it did against LSU. So, we saw the Giants and Commanders play an 18-18 tie before Washington then won. Washington didn't score a single touchdown. To me, I'm thinking 15-12 USC. I think we're going to see a lot of 3-pointers in this game. I think we're going to see very few touchdowns. Getting 3 more than 0 is going to matter, I think. So, hopefully Lincoln Riley won't have a Dan Lanning or Nick Sirianni moment where he's going for it on 4th and 4 from the 13, doing something really dumb. I don't think Lincoln Riley will do that. So like 3 points to me, I think are going to be valuable in this game. It's going to be a 1970s style battle. And with USC being in the Big Ten, I guess there's something poetic about that. So the only other thing is I've already said, turnovers are going to be key. Let me make one added note about turnovers. High impact turnovers. What do we define as a high impact turnover? I think this gets under discussed in football analysis. If you commit a turnover in the red zone, either one, your red zone or the other team's red zone, that directly leads to points. That's a high impact turnover. But if you have 3rd and 15 at your own 30 and you throw a bomb and it gets intercepted, that's an arm punt. That's not a high impact turnover. So really, when we talk about turnovers, don't just look at the numbers. Are there high impact turnovers that create a 10-point swing, a 7-point swing? Those are the kinds of things that we really need to look at as going to be the kinds of moments that are going to decide this game if they happen. And if none of them happen, then it's advantage USC.
Did you give a score, Matt?
15-12. 15-12 USC.
Do you think this is SEC?
That's almost what the real MVP.
That's Les Miles, Nick Saban, 2011. Yes.
The real MVP, resident provocateur and regular caller, said 9-6. So you guys are thinking
if this could be the ugliest win ever, I'll take it as long as we have one more point.
How many points did Texas score?
31.
Was that in Texas or was that in Michigan?
It was in Michigan, and Texas is better. Texas is better than USC right now.
But Texas isn't a couple touchdowns better than USC on offense. Sorry, that's incorrect. I'm not talking about the defense. I'm talking about the offense. You're saying Texas is a couple touchdowns better than USC on offense?
I'll settle for a 3-2 win. Little Auburn, Mississippi State, 2008.
Yeah, anyone's going to settle for a win.
I'll take 6-4 Iowa, Penn State back in the day.
There we go.
Well, I know you guys soon have to go prep for your show, so let's rock through our predictions here real quick. TJ, we'll start with you on how you think the game's going to go.
So I'm currently 3-0 in my predictions for Michigan, and what I am predicting this Saturday is a 28-17 USC victory. That's my prediction.
Hope you're 4-0.
Yeah, I don't. I'll take my L. I would like to lose. I'll take my L. Hope Michigan wins, though.
I'm going 23-17 USC. I just don't think we're going to be able to keep them to that magic 20 number. And I do think they're going to cobble enough together with Alex Orji, but I just don't think it's going to be quite enough. But hey, we've laid out the 5 ways that Michigan can pull it off. So stay tuned, because I don't think this is going to be the 50. Somebody predicted 52-6. I don't think that's happening. So the truth is somewhere in the middle, and I think we'll be. It's going to be a great game, guys. I'm looking forward to it. So we really want to thank both of you for coming on. So I definitely want to encourage all. We have multiple hundreds of people watching this across Michigan channel, USC channel, Twitter. And so I want to encourage every single one of you to go over in about a half an hour to Trojan Conquest Live, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, and check it out. Let's put the link. I don't know, Jackson's here, but I'll put the link here as well for everybody to directly just head straight there. But let's get a final thought, and where can people find you? And we'll start with Matt. Since we started with you before, we'll finish. We'll start with you to wrap up here too.
Well, let's just give our lineup for here on the USC channel at the Voice of College Football. So obviously coming up tonight in half an hour, but then we're going to do our call-in show usually on Fridays. But Tim's going to be flying up to Ann Arbor on Friday. So we're going to do our call-in show Wednesday night. That's tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Tim and I are going to be on probably for 2 hours. So that's our call-in show. And then you want to come on over to our written work. Look at our written work over at Trojans Wire. That's trojanswire.usatoday.com. And we're working with Wolverines Wire all this week. So these two College Wire network sites. Yeah, Isaiah Hull of Wolverines Wire does a great job over there. Nice. So we're collaborating with him. He's asking us questions. We're asking him questions. So the answers are getting published at each of our sites all this week. So Trojans Wire, Wolverines Wire, part of the USA Today College Wire Network. Give us a read. Tell your friends.
All right. So thanks for joining us, Matt. And I'll be watching you in just a few minutes here.
Thank you, guys, and we really enjoyed being on your show.
Thanks for having us. All right, and let's go to Tim now. For your final thought and where could people find you. And again, I'm encouraging everybody, please go ahead. I put the link in there to Trojans Wire. Check out the written work and check out the show in less than a half an hour. Tim, floor is yours.
Well, I just said this is a really special event for me. As soon as I found out USC was entering the Big Ten, the first school I thought of was Michigan. Just being able to play University of Michigan, blue blood, so much history, you know. It's funny, not that many games, but there's a lot of history between these two schools. And it's just, you know, two private schools. Well, sorry. So, but anyway, sorry, my bad. Two schools that okay, I think of you guys compared to some of the other schools, I'm not going to name as more of a private school than you are. But appreciate you guys having me on. But you know, I got family in Michigan, and I love Michigan. I've followed. Talk about your helmet games. This is gonna be one of the all-time helmet games. And when I heard USC was playing in Ann Arbor for obvious first time in my lifetime, going all the way back to the 1950s, I knew I had to be there. So I think it's gonna be a great game. I'm excited. I'm gonna be on the sideline shooting pictures. So if you want to find me, the first place is always at Trojans Wire. There's gonna be I have a lot of photo galleries. So even if you're a Michigan fan, come check it out. I'll have plenty of pictures of Michigan as well in those galleries. You can also find me on Instagram, Tim_Prangley, again, where I post a lot of my game pictures. And then you could find me on Twitter, same thing, Tim_Prangley. And then Matt covered all the stuff at the Voice of College Football. So yeah, be a great game. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Yeah, excellent show. Great job, and looking forward to this Saturday.
And if you guys are there, you got either one of you guys going to the game?
No, I won't be there. And
I'm still unpacking. Okay, right. I'm in Virginia unpacking.
That's fair. All right. Well, listen, we'll talk after the game. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, everybody. And with that said, before we get to your final thought, TJ, and some housekeeping, we do have another super chat. So we got $4.99 from Michigan Go Blue 1234. Saying that Michigan needs to go run heavy. If the run game struggles at first, we just need to stick with it. A punt is better than a turnover. You ain't wrong.
Yeah, Michigan definitely needs to establish the run. They will. Khalil Mullins is the real deal. Alex Orji, we know his ability. I think establishing the run is actually will open things up for Alex Orji with RPOs, with play action, with some rollouts. It'll make defenses very honest. We should be able to capitalize if that's the case. I'm looking forward to how this is a big test. This is a very big test for me to see what this coaching staff is capable of. Can they put together a game plan that wins games? We'll find out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the run needs to get better. And I think Sharon Moore's kind of talks with the press the last 2 days. I had some issues with them, but the one thing that did sound good, sounded promising, other than Alex Orji, the other thing that sounded good is it did sound like he was agreeing with the one interviewer. I forget which. It all runs together sometimes, but he agreed with the one interviewer that Khalil Mullings would see more RB1 time, and that he agreed that Donovan Edwards should be utilized in other areas like the slot and the perimeter, which, hey, who said that? Us and a lot of other people said that weeks ago. So it's great that he's seeing the light on that, and hopefully the run will help because of that.
I feel like a lot of our takes have hit. I think a lot of our takes, John, have been accurate analyses of what we're seeing. Hopefully they make the correct changes this week. I mean, this is a great opportunity. This is literally a statement game. If Michigan wins, if Michigan can pull this victory off this weekend, everything's on the table. Everything's on the table. And we will definitely, we will all, especially if you listen to the post-game show Saturday, adjust our predictions, because we asked for people's predictions and who they want to be QB1. Majority of the fan base wanted Orji to be QB1 this Saturday. Sharon listened. It's Orji time. And we will see what the boys can do, man. I'm excited. I'm very amped up. I was actually I found it curious how, Tim Prangley, Matt Zemek, they cover USC, but they appear humble and mindful of Michigan's potential here. So, you got to appreciate that. They watch USC. They're aware of USC's flaws as well as their strengths. So the fact that they are mindful, I mean, Matt Zemek was very cautious. And then Tim had his respects for Michigan, and he knows that if USC does not bring their A game, then Michigan has the ability to get this W. And so we'll see what the boys can do. I'm pretty amped up. This interview, hopefully for everyone viewing, it got you amped up, because I'll be ready. I'm be honest, I am ready for Saturday. We have a few days to wait to get there, but I'm excited for this game, John.
Same here, and there's content coming at you all week. I do want to start, of course, reminding everybody that every morning you can wake up, you get your pot of coffee. I'm very excited because I just got this like 3-in-1 coffee maker, so I can do a pot of coffee or I can do a K-cup. And so every day I can mix it up, and it's very exciting for me. And you can do that and then watch Mark Rogers, Voice of College Football, every morning with the College Football Show. I don't know is that the final name? I heard it might change, but it's going to be the College Football Show. All right, fine. With Mark Rogers every morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, and then join us again a couple more times here later this week. So TJ, you've got your call-in show 8 p.m. Eastern, and then we have our post game. But go let us know what to look forward to Thursday.
Yeah, so for the call-in show this Thursday, my guess, and I want to double check it here. Yep, my guess is Brian from Blue by 90. You guys may know him on Twitter or X as Double BB. Yeah, I would say one of the must-follow accounts on Twitter. I'd actually put him in the same realm as Swanky. Now, Double BB Brian is not. He's not a graphics guy, but he is a stats guy. He is an Excel sheet guy, and he puts out the best data analysis I've seen of any Michigan Twitter account. So if anyone is looking for an excellent account to follow on social media, follow him. We'll have him on Thursday to talk some ball, get his analysis, give his perspective on things. Looking forward to that. Should be a great show, as it normally is. Our community is the shit. Appreciate everybody in our show today. Looking forward to seeing everybody Thursday. And let's go, baby. It's USC week.
USC week. And yeah, it's always great to do this show with you, man. And I can't wait to be back on Saturday. Win or lose, we will be in the paint. And I don't care if you're the most diehard Buckeye, the most diehard whatever. No one can argue one thing, which is that if we win, if we lose, or if we win ugly or we lose ugly, we're here and we're taking calls. As long as people want to donate and super chat to keep the show going, we'll be here.
Yeah. I'm just eating before the show next time.
Yes, I actually got, no joke, I got a reserve of granola bars and like energy stuff. So like I'm ready for the long haul. This thing goes 6-7 hours.
We're built for it, man. We're ready for it. I'm ready for it. I got my water bottles. I'll get my food. I'm good. Let's get it.
Absolutely. So yeah, ask everybody to make sure we follow TJ _Ronin, of course, on the socials. So we'll do that. We'll put that link right there, and let's help everybody who is on the show today. Let's help them get more followers. Seriously, Tim,
Yeah,
Matt,
I'm like,
you, everybody.
Yeah, I think I'm 34 away from 1,000 followers. So if you guys want to give me a follow on Twitter, that'd be great. Looking forward to hitting my 1,000. I have some thank yous that I will be handing out when I reach my 1,000. I've said them previously, but I'll wait till I hit the milestone. But definitely looking to build that community on socials. I mean, it's already. I like chatting with everybody. So give me a follow there, and we'll keep going, baby. We'll keep going.
All right, TJ. Well, we appreciate you, and I'm gonna wrap the show up here. But go Blue, and I'll be watching Thursday night.
Oh, and actually, one thing.
Yeah.
So late change of plans. I will be joining the boys on the USC show. So they had someone kind of fell out. So I'm going to be filling in. So if anyone wants to watch another USC Michigan analysis, go over to the USC show. I will be there.
I'll be watching.
Yep. Let's get it.
All right, TJ, go Blue.
Go Blue.
All right. So I just went ahead and put the link in here so that everybody can go over and watch Trojan Conquest live in about 15 minutes and watch TJ, Matt, and Tim Prangley, and I believe Mark Rogers too, voice of college football. So we're going to have a big old panel, and I'm going to be in chat with a bourbon, and I'm going to be supporting that way. And hopefully everybody will be too. My name's John Diadamo. I was your host here. You can follow me at John Diadamo on Twix. I'm going to put that link in here. I rarely do this, so I actually remembered today. So there it is. Go ahead and follow me if you want to do that. And I give my takes on Michigan and other things. NFL, been commenting a little bit on NFL. So go ahead and do that. And then other than that, we also do want to encourage everybody to check out the Twitter/X/Twix Voice of College Football account, which is, we'll put the link to that as well. That is the one thing I wanted to hit as well, Voice of College Football, and the opportunity to sponsor. So if you have a business, a product, a service, or a personal brand, you too can sponsor Michigan football at the Voice of College Football. Email MarkRogersTV@gmail.com or hit us up and go ahead and sponsor our channel, or you can sponsor the network. And that does it for me. As we've said, coming up next, Trojan Conquest Live with Mark Rogers, Tim Prangley, Matt Zemek, and special guest, our guy, TJ Ronin, in about 15 minutes. Go check it out. Thanks to everybody for joining us. And until next time, go Blue. And last but certainly not least, a message from Mark Rogers, voice of college football. See you next time.
College football is even more exciting with some action on the line. And the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.